and welcome to a new video. Today I'm here to talk to you about the Reading Rush TBR pile. Wow, I haven't talked to you in a bit, so sorry if I get very confusing. So the Booktube-a-thon has changed names and is now the Reading Rush. It has a website, it has everything, you can go there, there's videos, we're gonna earn badges, it's gonna be awesome. And so I'm here today to tell you of my TBR and how I plan to achieve all 7 challenges. The way I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna go through each challenge and show you a book. Sometimes the same book will complete more than one challenge, and then at the end I will tell you extra books that I will try to read to achieve that extra badge of the 7 books in a week. This year, 7 books in a week, it's not a challenge, but you can still earn a badge, so that's pretty cool. So without further ado, let's jump right in. The first challenge is read a book with purple on the cover. Now this can be a little bit of purple, a lot of purple, every single type of purple. It could be this, but I've already read this book, so I went with The Miseducation of Cameron Post by Emily M. Danforth. This book, I've purchased it in this Christmas, I think. I've hauled it. There's a video of me talking about when I bought this book. It has this very cool page edge painting. It actually sits on my shelves like this because I think it's pretty cool how they painted it. So this is about a girl who loses her parents and then ends up having to go live with an aunt that throws her in a conversion camp, so to correct her. There's a movie about this as well. I've heard very good things about it, so I've decided to pick it up. Challenge number 2 is read a book on the same spot every time, or the entire time. So this means that every time you're reading a particular book, you have to be at a certain point, location. It doesn't mean you can have to read it all in one go, but it is easier if it's a small book. I have one that's very short. It's this Faber stories, and this is Daughters of Passion by Julia O'Fallon. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but she's Irish. This has slightly to do with the IRA and the Troubles of Ireland. It's a very short story. It has, let me check, it has 49 pages, but it still counts as one book, and it's very easy to read in the same spot if it's just one book. So challenge number 3 is read a book you wanted to read last year. So maybe you buy books at the same rate you read them, but not me. There's a book haul coming up. And you're gonna see how I do not control myself. So that being said, there's most of my books I meant to read the years previous. But because the challenge says last year, I'm gonna mention 2 that I truly did want to read last year, never got around to it. One of them, it's more probable that I'm gonna read it than the other, but I'm gonna show the 2 books I have in mind for this. First one is Homegoing by Yassi. This is a very beloved story about 2 sisters who end up in very different places due to the slave traffic. So it's kind of about the history of America as well. I've heard amazing things about this book. I cannot wait to read it. I think it's going to be very interesting. So that's why it's in my TBR. And also I've owned it since 2017, so I think it's time I read it. The other one is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. Now, I've read the first book of Celeste Ng's Everything I Never Told You. It surprised me how much I enjoyed it, and so I picked this one up and I haven't read it yet. That being said, there is an adaptation coming up. I don't want to be late for that, so I do want to read this sooner rather than later. Also, her books, the last book was very gripping, so even though it seems rather big, I think it will be very easy to read. That's also one of my options for this particular challenge. So now we go on to challenge number 4, and I'm gonna start repeating some books, but I hope you don't mind. So challenge number 4 is read an author's first book. Now, I could just go back and, retrace a lot of people's books, but it's not every time that a first book is either short or good or, very marathon ready. I have read most of my favorite authors' first novels. So I've read Jane Austen's, I've read Isabel Allende's, I've read John Green's, I've read Isabel Stilwell's, but those are way too big to count. I could go back to Virginia Woolf, but I think that's not a very good read-it-on read. So what I went with is another book that I found out during this, while I was piling up this TBR. It's actually a first book, a debut novel, and that is ongoing. So this one, which I'll probably be reading, will complete 2 challenges, which is very, very good. So number 5 is read a book with a non-human main character. Now I have 2 options for this as well. This does come into play because I'm trying to read more female authors. That being said, I have 2 novels. One of them I think is kind of an exception to that rule, since it is such a classic, and that is Animal Farm by George Orwell. Not only is it a classic that I haven't read, but it's also very short. And so this would be very good for the reading rush. Also, the main characters are pigs, so that would be pretty cool. And I've read George Orwell in a lot of my previously Booktube-a-thons, so that would be cool to kind of keep that trend going. But there is also another book which features a non-human main character, and that is Circe by Madeline Miller. And now I've bought this recently, I haven't held it yet, but look how shiny. But everyone is raving about this book, everyone says it's amazing, and you know, it's about Circe. And Circe is not a human. She is the daughter of Helios, the god of sun, and one of the titans. And so this would be appropriate. It's also not very long because you see the size of it. And everyone has been loving it. So that's also a very good option. So number 6 is read a book with 5 or more words in the title. Now, there's another book that covers this challenge. And that is The Miseducation of Cameron Post. The Miseducation of Cameron Post. So that's 5. Since in this challenge the does and the offs also count. This one would be very good for that particular challenge. And also challenge number 7, which is read a book and watch the movie adaptation. And of all the books I've mentioned here, this one is the one who has an adaptation already out and, you know, in the world, so I can just watch it after I've read it, even though it's a pretty good big book. So it's good that it covers a lot of challenges since it's so big. So with that all in mind, I have 3 books that I will definitely be reading, and then I have other 3 that I might read, but 2 of them are options of each other, so that makes 1 and then another 1 maybe. So I'm just gonna give myself some options and talk to you about the other 2 books that I might be reading during this Booktube-a-thon. One of them is The Art of Being Normal by Lisa Williamson. I bought this book in England in 2017. It's about a transgender girl who is called David in the story. So I think it's still David who knows and wants to be a girl. I want to read this and be more informed and, you know, experiencing stories that are different from, you know, my everyday life, things I see that I experience. So there you go. Also, usually this is YA, and YA tends to be very easy to read. That's very good for reading marathons, as the Reading Rush is, and so that would be very cool. The next one is a graphic novel. Graphic novels are very good for the Reading Rush if you want to achieve those 7 books challenge, which is not a challenge anymore, but still, you know, like my personal challenge. And so I recently bought Nimona, which I haven't hauled yet. I'm going to in a future video. I've heard amazing things about Nimona. It was very popular around the internet a few years ago. I only got my hands on it now because this is the Portuguese translated edition. It's very well done, but it was very expensive at normal price. But I got it at the Lisbon Book Fair. And so it came at around €9, which was very good for how much it was originally. And also, I hope I enjoy it. I hope it's... I mean, I've heard amazing things about it. And so, can't wait to read this. And I think it's going to be very good to get a break from, you know, all the letters and get a little bit more, you know, images in there during the Reading Rush. So that's all of my TBR for the Reading Rush. Is it a fixed TBR? No, a lot of things can change. I can remember new books. That being said, that's my TBR. What are you planning to reading? Are you joining the Reading Rush? I'm still getting around to saying the Reading Rush. but it is very cool to have a designated website and the badges and the forums, and I can't wait to, you know, get cracking and get reading and participating in this amazing event. I really enjoy taking part of the Booktube-a-thon. Even if I don't usually do the video challenges, for example, or most of the Instagram challenges that used to exist. I don't know if they're gonna exist this year. I just, the reading and the feeling that everyone is reading at the same time, and the Twitter reading sprees are so good. So join us if you want to. I certainly need to read more books to achieve my reading challenge this year, so I'm gonna be taking part, and I hope you do too. All the links to the Reading Rushes I'm gonna leave in the description of this video, and I hope to see you soon with a new video soon. Bye!